Ladies and gentlemen, I want to welcome you here today to the XRL X3 division once again, and it's going to be really exciting for me because this is Circuit Gilles de Villeneuve in Montreal, Canada. This is honestly one of my favorite circuits in the entire world. This honestly I personally think that this circuit, along with the long defunct and destroyed Riverside International Raceway that was in California, are probably the two greatest racetracks that have ever been in this world. This circuit is still live. It still hosts races, even though there are sound restrictions that keep it limited to right now only hosting Formula 1 races and NASCAR Pinty's races. But this circuit has had a lot of experience. This has been a Formula 1 staple since the very start of the 1980s. It has held the biggest rival for F1 twice in its history as well. It's hosted kart, later became Camp Car between 2002 and 2006. Then it also went on to hold the NASCAR Busch Series, as it was called then, which later became the NASCAR Nationwide Series and then later the NASCAR Xfinity Series from about 2007 all the way until I believe it was 2013. Montreal as a city also held Formula E a few years back, but that was in the actual downtown city streets and did not deal with the racetrack itself. But again, this is one of my favorite circuits. I'm actually really excited and looking forward to this. This is peak Formula 1 track design, in my honest opinion. Nice long straights where you can get lots of breathing room and ability through the car, but besides that, you also have a lot of tight and technical corners that they're not so tight that it's impossible to make something happen through them. It's absolutely wonderful. This circuit is kind of like a hybrid street road circuit, and it's street course / road course because the streets are in a sense publicly available, but the track and the layout is very much designed with race cars in mind. But this is a full, I can just gush over the circuit forever. But the one thing that I should be gushing over, though, is the drivers, because you have the greatest circuit in the world, which I would argue we do possibly, and if you don't have any drivers, and you don't have any cars, you're not going to have anything to really showcase. So today, for the Mercedes F1 team, you're going to have XRL Snake and Triple X showing up in those machines. For the Scuderia Ferrari team, XRL Smash and XRL Turbo will be taking the field. Aston Martin Red Bull is going to be bringing it home with XRL Patriot and XRL Whippy. Then you have McLaren F1, which will be driven by the drivers of Careless Jackson and XRL Stumpy. Renault's F1 team will have XRL Devlin and XRL Blake there. Electra Fritz is anticipated to start at AlphaTauri. I'm not sure if he's going to have a teammate show up in that other AlphaTauri machine later. Then the Force India Racing Point pink Mercedes car. Oh yes, there he is. Fratters is going to jump in. So there's Fratters who'll be running with Electra Fritz. Now, XRL Tome and Retroxy will be jumping in to the Racing Point cars. Alfa Romeo will have XRL Cargill and Atui. Haas F1 will have XRL Gusty and WCD Hubert. Williams will have Schold and Constant Jet. And that will be your 20 drivers for today's race. So the big thing going into this event is the fact that the point system and the drivers who are being allowed into the various leagues have been completely shaken up. The drivers who were on top of the boards last week are no longer in X3. They have been graduated into X1 or X2 category. So it's going to be a very interesting and important thing to take note of as we are now beginning to load up the circuit. So we will begin our first round of qualifying Q1 here. But as I'm looking right now at the standings as we left Baku last weekend had Mercedes with 192 points, Alfa Romeo with 125 points, and McLaren with 82 points in the Constructors' Championship, followed by Williams with 57, Aston Martin Red Bull with 53, BWT Racing Point with 47, Renault with 40, Haas with 39, AlphaTauri with 28, and Scuderia Ferrari with 20. When it came to the Drivers' Championship, we had 20 drivers, and XRL Mon, Flying Wallaby, XRL Iridisa, and XRL Snake were the top 4 drivers, with XRL Cargo 5th, just 3 points off of Snake. Now, Mon, Wallaby, and Iridisa are all gone. Snake now is your default points leader. He has 43 points, and we only have 12 drivers who have officially earned points at this time. The interesting thing is going to be if our top 3 drivers in points, Snake, Cargo, and Devil, who have 43, 40, and 34 points each, will be able to close in on the massive overall gap that XRL Mon and Wallaby and Iridisa had. Iridisa had 57 points, Wallaby had 85, and XRL Mon had 136. So it's going to be very interesting to see. But even if they don't, we now have officially opened this up to a 3-car battle in the championship. It's going to be a little bit interesting to see what could happen. Also, because only 12 drivers have scored points under this, now drivers have graduated out or moved on to other series. This is also going to be a great chance for drivers like Fratters to finally start earning points. Blake to finally start earning some more points. Fratters has only earned 2 points this entire season. Blake has only been able to earn 5. Only one of the Ferrari drivers, XRL Turbo, has been able to earn points thus far. The other Ferrari driver, which is now dropped out, which was XRL Cookie, he has moved on as well to another series. So it's going to be very interesting. The entire points battle and scenario has basically been flipped on its head just a little bit past a third of the way through this season. So I myself am definitely looking forward to seeing what's going to change going through here. Now, I will say this though for sure. This basically means that the first 2 or 3 races could honestly go any way, because in the races leading up to this, we've seen Mon, Iridisa, and then to a lesser extent Flying Wallaby basically being all off on their own. Really, no one else could touch them for the most part. And whenever someone could touch them, it often came with like the caveat of an accident or something happening that was basically locking up and screwing with the way things went. A good example of that is last week at Baku. We're going to be seeing a lot more open races, I imagine, for the first 2 or 3 races. This is basically going to be the equivalent of what happened at Monza this year, where the 3 top cars, the 2 Mercedes and then Verstappen's Red Bull, all ended up in situations that took them out of the running. So I'm just saying this will definitely be an interesting event to be looking forward to. Right now, we're just waiting on Constant Jet to finish loading in, and then we'll be able to get underway with qualifying. For those of you who have not watched the F1 race recently, or let alone F1 qualifying for Formula 1 is done in 3 sections. You have a Q1 where all 20 drivers get on the track and they need to put down clean, legal lap times, and the top 15 lap times automatically advance into qualifying Sector 2. In qualifying Sector 2, that is when they decide who is going to start on what tire compounds. The top, whatever your final time is in the Q2 session, defines what tire compound you'll start the race on. Then, in addition, the top 10 fastest drivers in Q2 automatically advance into Q3 for a shootout for the pole position. Now, again, the other thing is that in the actual race itself, there is 1 bonus point that will be given out for the fastest lap in race, and then there'll also be 1 bonus point given out for the pole position. Then you only have points given out to the top 10 drivers. So whoever wins this race is going to definitely end up getting a massive boost in the points, because you get 25 points for winning a race. Right now, just because of the way that the point system has been completely shaken up, 25 points. If anyone who's not Snake, Cargo, or Devil wins today's race, they automatically more than double the points total they already have. So this is going to be very, very interesting to see. As again, we're just waiting on qualifying right now to properly load in. One driver seems to be having a little bit of trouble properly loading on the circuit. This is also one of the circuits that really has not had a lot of changes over the years. It's been very, very simple, similar circuit. Right, never mind. I thought there was something going on. I was wrong. Yeah. And there are just some technical issues going on the end of the game. This game was it's not the greatest product that Codemasters just put out. I think it got rushed a little bit, but it's still here. It's still for the most part functional. We're still going to be able to make something happen with it. I'm just going to chalk that long-ass loading time up to a little bit of technical issue here. But we'll be looking at, I imagine all 20 drivers will still be able to take. Yes, all 20 drivers will be here. So a full field will start us at qualifying. We've not seen a full field for X3 qualifying for a while here, so it'll be nice to be able to see that now. And we'll see the first driver who will come out into the circuit sooner rather than later, I imagine. We only have 18 minutes already. That time's going away. Once that clock is up, there will be roughly a 2.5-minute section of time where someone who is on the lap they're on can go ahead and get that lap finished up, and it will be like that for the other 2 sessions. Qualifying 2 will be a 15-minute section, and then qualifying 3 will be, I believe it's a 12-minute section. And there we are. We already have our first drivers popping out into the circuit. You can see it way up the order up there. But my game is not letting me me see who it is. There we are. So there we are. XRL Gusty, and the Haas machine is going to be the first driver who will come out onto the circuit here. And he's going to move aside for the Renault, and that is XRL Devil, actually. Yeah, that's XRL Devil. We'll go ahead, and now Devil is going to get out there. He's going to warm the tires up here at Circuit de Villeneuve. Now, also, I want to go ahead and invite everyone to meet XRL Jono. Jono has been part of the XRL series for a long time. He'll be joining me in the broadcast booth today. Jono, I'm glad to have you here. What do you have to say for this race? So the big thing that I was talking about before we got started with qualifying, and that I'm curious as to your perspective on, is going to be the entire shakeup with the points. With the three fastest drivers, the drivers who have earned more points than anyone else in X3 have now been moved on to other tiers. The entire points scenario has been blown open. The highest points driver right now only has 43 points. What do we look forward to now when it comes to the Drivers' Championship? Right here, folks. I won't lie, I honestly think that the drivers who have the three most points right now in the current standings, which would be XRL Blake, XRL Cargo, and XRL Devil in the Mercedes, the Alfa Romeo, and I can't tell if it's a little bit lower quality. But I'm looking at XRL. I'm going to try and look at XRL Devil right here, who's in the Renault machine. I believe those three cars will be the ones who will have the best chances to win the overall Drivers' Championship. They already have a leg up over the rest of the field, and those three have a little bit of a separation from them to fourth highest in points, which is Scholl, who only has 15 right now. And there we are. Our first lap time is now up on the scoreboard. XRL Devil with a 1:11.212, and the moment he finishes that lap time, he ends up having to be a little bit careful not running wide to hit two other drivers who are on their out lap. Devil looks like he got a little bit up to the dirt there, gets into the grass. He's really playing fast and loose with the track limits here early on in qualifying. Scholl has also gone ahead and set his first lap time, 1:11.284, and Carlos Jackson has as well, 1:12.242. XRL Snake has now moved up 1:11.239 in the Mercedes. And there we are. Atui is going to go right to the top, 1:10.541, and he is going to, very quickly trying to basically put his knees on the entire field right away, trying to basically say, come at me, I'm going to be the guy you want to get to. It can be very important and significant to get that little mental advantage early on in qualifying. Also, getting a really fast time early on means that if you're comfortable enough with it, you may have the option to just retire early in Q1, not risk damaging the cars, not risk going through too many sets of tires as well. Chicane right now. He's going to come down and he will set his first lap, I believe. Yes, he does. It's only a 1:12.350. He'll need to see if he can improve that right now. He's still nearly 2 seconds off of the pace that Atui has set. But then again, as he said, Atui's pace already massive. He's 7/10 over XRL Devil thus far. There's still almost 13 minutes left in the session, but definitely going out there with some fire early on here. Three drivers have not yet left the pit lane. I'm sorry, two drivers have not yet left the pit lane. That is XRL Stumpy and Constant Jet. In fact, it actually looks like they're bringing their cars back in, so it's possible maybe they did come out and then immediately aborted, didn't attempt to set a full-on lap. Here we are, following now WCD Hubert, who is going to move aside and let one of the, I believe that was one of the Alpha males go by. Hubert has been one of the more interesting and fascinating stories over the last few race weekends. He has started high up in the field time after time after time, but his initial race starts have been very, very poor. They could, I'm not saying they will because I'm not sure what the final result is, but they could be attributed to incidents that have happened in the opening laps here in the last few races, but then Hubert ends up being in the back of the field, and then he slaves and works his ass off and finds himself back up in the top 5-10 positions usually by the end of the race, usually by doing some really, really hardcore crazy moves, and he hits the outside wall. He opened up the DRS zone there, and then he got a little bit swirly through the chicane and smacked the outside wall. Now he is still going right now, and it looks like he's lost one of the end plates. He's lost the outermost end plate of the right front of that wing, so that will hurt him a little bit there. He's going to stay out though. He seems to think that the damage to the wing is not enough to harm him. He is at 141.6 lap time, and there he is. He's improved. He's now at 113.429, but he really needs to see if he can improve on it. Hubert, if he has a bad start in the back of the field, he might not be able to catch up to the actual race itself. We see several other drivers pull over. This may be a large circuit, but it's not exactly a wide open one. There's not a whole lot of areas on the track where you can just freely pull over to enable other cars to get by and have that clean track, which is so desperately required. As we see, Hubert's going to go by his teammate, XRL Gusty right there. As Gusty pulls aside for Hubert right now. Everyone right now is running the soft tire compounds. No real need to try and experiment. You just want to go with the fastest possible tires to try and put down the fastest possible time. Get as good as you can into Q2. Electrofritz has now gotten to the board. He has a 114.050, so a wide gap when it comes to times right now. On the board, we're looking at 3.5 seconds between our first fastest Audi and our 15th fastest Electrofritz right now. There's a lot of improvement, I would say, that could be seen in the lower ends of the field right now, as Hubert has now gone ahead and pulled onto the circuit. Gusty, though, is still out there on the circuit. He has finished his outlap. This is going to be, as long as nothing goes wrong, this will be his actual outlap. On the little map graphic we have there on the side, if the sector is lit up in green after the little arrow card is past it, that means that he has improved on that sector. But if the entire track goes red like it did there, that means that he has invalidated the lap, which Gusty has. So Gusty, this lap more than likely is not going to count for him. He's going to have to stay out another lap to put down qualifier time. Right now, 5 drivers have not yet set lap times to get into the next round. Those are XRL Stumpy, then the driver we're following right now, XRL Gusty. This here is Retro Exceed, who's another really, really good qualifier, but he has not yet set a lap time either. He's on his outlap. Here's Constant Jet, who's also going to be in the Williams. Moves it very, very smoothly there through the Wall of Champions, and then XRL Patriot. And there we are, Constant Jet, 110.421. The Williams goes right to the top. We have a new person on top of the timesheets now. XRL Stumpy is coming into the pits once more. Stumpy jumping in. He did run an entire lap, but it was not clean. He's going to have to go put new tires on, and the time is starting to run out. He has less than 8.5 minutes to get out there and get a fast lap down. You can do that. Obviously, the laps here aren't too terribly long, but you need to get out there and you need to get moving sooner rather than later here. It's better to get out there and put down a relatively good time early on and then see if you can improve on it than just throwing everything to the last minute and getting really, really crazy at the very end, trying desperately to make something happen. Here's XRL Patriot. He is rounding that hairpin about 2/3 of the way through the circuit. It's not full flat out, but it's pretty close to being flat out now. One of the longest straights we have in the series right here. And then at the end of it is going to be a really, really hard right-left chicane. The Wall of Champions. We've seen so many champions put their names on that wall and their cars. XRL Patriot's going to come across the line, but he has not set a clean lap yet. Hubert has set a clean lap, Smash has set a clean lap, but Stumpy, Gusty, and Patriot all have not. And now, as I said that, Gusty has finally set his lap time. 1:11.633. So it's now just down to Stumpy and Patriot to put down their lap times. But at the top, though, we now have 7 drivers who are all within the 110 time sheet, with 110.940 with XXX Books, XXX, and then Constant Jet 1141 with the 1. There's only about a half-second difference between 1st and 7th right now. We could be looking at a very, very intense Q3 if we end up with this kind of pace going forward here.
I didn't expect
Retro. Retro's one of the
1.10s today. 1.10.
Yeah, I didn't expect
in the top 7 in Q1 or in 110, so that's amazing. I might get to see 1.90.
Here's Retro, who's going to go ahead and let the 2 Haas machines go. But no, you're absolutely right. I honestly thought the times we'd be looking at would be like 112s, and we might see 111s get cracked when we got into Q3 here, where the track was at its cleanest and its fastest. But 110s right off the bat, we could be looking at some fire laps here. A really big element of that, though, I think, is the fact that the circuit itself is relatively clean. There's no risk of rain by the looks of it. Nice, sunny, everything. Not to mention, a lot of people feel potentially rejuvenated. The entire championship has been blown wide open. There's not going to be as many drivers going in there with the mindset of, oh, I don't have a chance of doing anything. The entire everything has been blown open, and the best way to start improving and turn around your entire season is right here, right now. In qualifying, and Stumpy is not going to do that. Stumpy has destroyed his car there. The car got a little bit sideways, and he smashed the outside wall. The entire front suspension absolutely destroyed. XRL Stumpy is not going to be able to advance to the next section.
That's a big shame. Stumpy's one of those drivers that you were talking about there that felt like he could really achieve something going forward for the rest of the season. His low downforce philosophy is not helping him around Canada.
A big thing about Montreal is that Montreal is up there with Classic Hockenheim, with Spa-Francorchamps, and with Monza as being a circuit that is well known for wanting to run really, really low drag setups. But there's a difference though between just running pure low drag and letting the engine do everything like you can at Monza or Hockenheim, and then having something where you need to still have the rest of the car well put together. This is a very, very fine line circuit. That's one of the reasons it's one of my favorites. You can't just throw caution to the wind and kind of go out there with, oh, engine will take care of everything. You need to have a good platform for that engine to be on. You saw right there for Stumpy, it looks like the platform wasn't set up very ideally there. Really, really disappointing for him. XRL Cargo now goes to the top. 110.248, and now XRL Gusty has gone ahead, and he has pulled off the circuit, I believe. No. Is he crashed?
He's in the pits. No, he was in the pits.
Okay, he pits. Okay. Okay. But XRL Cargo has now gone to the top of the timesheets, 110.248. This isn't even the run and challenge for the outright pull. This is just for Q1 to get you into Q2. All these guys in the top 9 are basically guaranteed to make it into Q2. But that's not stopping them. They're definitely trying to get every little bit out of their cars. I'm going to be extremely honest, Zola. I'm not Zola. No, I'm going to 100% agree with you. I think we have a very high chance of seeing 109s by the time we get into Q3 here.
Yeah, I think we're going to see that. As the track gets rubbered in, we're going to see the times are going to drop, getting it towards Q3. There's a few title contenders here that will be looking for a 109.
I am a little bit curious what XRL Smash's strategy is. He's 17th on the timesheets with a 112.823, but he has run 6 laps on his soft tire compounds. By now, they are surely not feeling very good, but we only have 3 minutes left in the session. I'm not really sure if he's going to have the time to get in there, put new tires on, and then get a new lap going, one that would be legal. I'm not sure what's going on in the Ferrari team right now.
I wonder if he's just trying to put in some practice. He's not expecting us to get out of Q1. So rather than waste more than one set of tyres, he's just going to get a bit more practice and keep going.
That might be the case. Right behind him is his other Ferrari teammate, XRL Turbo. He's the only driver still in the 113 section right now. He has DRS. He's going to utilize that to blow by him. Turbo might have a chance of improving on this current lap. Here, Smash has gone into the pits. And Turbo is coming down. He has 19th on the timesheets. Will he be able to improve at the line? He does improve just a hair, 113.236. He's still not even close, though, to that barrier between 15th and 16th. Now, we've seen this before, and we've seen it again. The two Red Bulls probably the most consistent when it comes to driver-to-driver comparison. XRL Whippy, 112.026, XRL Patriot, 112.044. The biggest disappointment, though, is that as it is right now, only one of them will make it into Q2, the other will be locked on the outside looking in. XRL Whippy right now is out there is at 112.026, and he's starting to run down to the hairpin. Right now, the big thing that he's going to have to keep in consideration is that he is ahead of Patriot, but he's got 2 laps on these soft tire compounds. He could run this lap, another lap, and then one after that, but I think he's only going to really have good tires for another 2 laps or so. At least good tires in the sense of staying down really fast times. Patriot, though, is on almost the completely opposite end of the circuit compared to him. Very nice camera angle through the Wall of Champions. Why don't we use that camera angle more, gang? But no, so Whippy might need to see if he can find a way to give up a whole lot of time and try to give DRS assists to Patriot if Whippy and Patriot can go ahead and get over other drivers. And it looks like Smash and Turbo have both retired from the session. They're not going to continue out there. 39 seconds left in Q1. So right now it's between Whippy, Patriot, and Fritz to see which of those 3 will make it into Q2.
Patriot's just crossing the line, and he's jumped Whippy and Fredders, 111.6.
Alright, so there it is right now. Now we're just looking at a run between XRL Whippy and Electra Fritz. Fritz is in the AlphaTauri. He's on that really, really long straightaway coming down to the Wall of Champions. Is he going to stay out another lap, or he's going to come in? He's going to stay out another lap. He must feel really confident with this lap time. He needs to improve by 24 thousandths, can he?
Wow.
Yes, he does! Up to 10th! And now we have 12 drivers who have all broken the 110 barrier. Screw Q3! I think Q2 is going to be intense. Just see who makes it into Q2. And now Whippy, he's going to come down out of the Wall of Champions, just barely grazes the grass, but across the line, does he improve? No, he does not. 112.026. Whippy and Fratters are the 2 drivers who will not advance to the next round. Here's XRL Patriot. He's still flying. He's actually going to see if he can improve. No, his lap has been invalidated, so he's not trying to improve, apparently. And then we have Electra Fritz, who is still on the circuit, but the game, I believe, has already taken over control of his car. Here's WCD Hubert. He is currently 6th on the timesheets with 110.558, just 1,000th off of XRL Tome ahead of him. He's going to come down the line. Will he be able to improve on his lap time? Yes, he does! Yes. Hubert to the top! There it is! 109.985 at the last possible minute! Wow! You don't see that very often. I hope he's not used up everything in that car, because there's still 2 more qualifying sessions he need to get through there, but absolutely incredible. Here we are. We were both thinking like, 110's not likely, and now we have 11 drivers hitting 110s, and then Hubert bringing out that 109. This could be really interesting. So right now we're just waiting for the time remaining clock to run out, so everything will start getting reset and we'll start preparing for qualified Sector 2, but the 5 drivers will not move to the next round. XRL Stumpy in the McLaren ended up crashing his car, exiting the first sector. Very, very disappointing, hard hit, destroyed the front suspension. Hopefully they're able to get that car fully repaired in time for the race itself. Then the 2 Ferraris of XRL Smash and XRL Turbo were not able to continue, although in the case of Smash, I do think that you're probably right, Jono. I think more than likely the team was just going out there and having him turn practice laps. There wasn't really much anticipation from the Ferrari team to move forward. The Scuderia Ferrari team in general has just been really, really struggling this year in X3, as they have in real life as well. Then you have XRL Whippy, who we're currently on board with here. He did not move on. He was not able to improve on his time. Spent a little bit too much time on those Warren softs. 112.026 was the best he was able to set. One of only 3 drivers who were not able to get into the 111 range, and then the driver ahead of him, Fratters, 111.881, but that was just not good enough time in that AlphaTauri. So Q1 finally comes to a close here. We now know the 15 drivers will move to the next session. So now the question becomes tire strategy. What kind of tire strategy do we want to look at, and what do we want to start the race off with? Jono, I'm going to pass this question to you because you have a lot more experience with this league and with Codemasters Formula 1 games.
Sorry, what was the question?
Just what do you think is the ideal tire strategy for today's race and to start this event off with?
It's technically possible to do a soft medium, but it's not. You're going to be so slow at the end of the softs and at the end of the mediums. It's really not worth it. I think a soft hard is probably going to be the fastest way around here. Medium hard is probably going to be the most popular, because again with a soft hard you're going to really have to push those soft tires. So we'll see a lot of guys on the medium tires here, but I think we'll see a big switch towards the end of Q2 where people start to panic.
Indeed, it could be very easy for someone who went out there, put down a good lap early on, to suddenly freak out, then immediately jump to a softer tire compound just to try and make it and get that higher race start, but in turn ruin the entire flow of the race. You need to have a little bit of mental stability in order to pull these off. You do bring up an excellent point there. But anyways, 15 drivers will be taking us out here, and I'm curious to see who will be the first one out. Earlier it was XRL Gussie who was the first one out, although he immediately conceded a track position to one of the McLarens. I'm curious to see if he'll do the same thing this time. No, it's going to be one of that is Retro, I believe. Yes, so Retro is going to be the very first car out on the circuit here for Q2. And look at that entire line. It's a nice little truly train exiting the pits already. Really interesting thing is that the XRL Devil has just hit the rear bumper of XRL Blink, so Devil already loses a wing end plate, then exiting the pits as he ran right into the rear end of his teammate, exiting the pit lane. I'm gonna have to hope that wasn't enough damage to really upset that car. It looks like he's just missing the end plate on the right front. That's not how you want to start your Q2 out, though. Right now, everyone's rating either the medium or soft tire compounds. So I am going to ride on board with XRL Gussie for this entire lap. No words, just let you hear the engine for this entire lap around Montreal. And there's your full lap around Circuit de Villeneuve as we see Retro up there taking the runoff through turns 2 and 3 as after he has set his first lap time. Retro has set a 110.756. He's immediately been overtaken though by Electrofritz and Ottawi. As here's Ottawi we're looking at now. He set 110.450 on Electrofritz at 110.356. Fritz did that though on the medium tire compounds. Added Gusty with the 110.870, and we are now seeing drivers real rapidly put down. Their lap times, we already have 6 drivers out there. Now, the big thing is that 5 drivers have yet to leave the pit lane. That is XXX Books at XXX, Constant Jet 1141, XRL Devil, XRL Snake, who is now on his way exiting the pits, and XRL Cargo. And XRL Blake has also gone ahead, and he looks like he's going to be leaving the pit shortly. Here's Electra Fritz, and I wonder what he's doing out there in the grassy section. Thankfully, there's no one around him, so he's not going to upset anyone else's lap time. But Fritz, who is our fastest time thus far, he pulled well off there in the very start of Sector 2 at that 90-degree corner. He went into the grass runoff. Not 100% sure what the plan was there. You don't want to get too much grass on your tires. It can really upset their ability to grip up. But I imagine they've got something going on there. Maybe it was just he was trying to find a quick way to clear out the track for the drivers behind him. This is XRL Tomar following right now. He has a purple Sector 1. He is now flying through Sector 2 here. Power down. DRS open. This is the corner right here that we saw Sebastian Vettel nearly take himself and Lewis Hamilton out at last year in 2019. Very, very controversial event then, but here we are. Tome got through without too much of an issue. He has now entered Sector 3 here as he has rounded the hairpin. It's all flat out until you get down into the Wall of Champions at this point. I believe that's XRL Patriot who is now pulled off in the grass section as well to enable the McLaren and one of the Alfa Romeos to get by. And Tome goes up to second. Medium tire compounds looking very strong today. 110.423 on the mediums. Here's XRL Snake. He also has a purple Sector 1. As he's flying, he's going to move right by XRL Patriot without much of an issue here. As he is now going through Sector 2. Really, really aggressive to track limits there, but he's still keeping it green. He's on the run down to the hairpin now. Hard under braking. Nice, not really clipping the inside barrier, the inside rumble strips too much. As he is now putting the power down, letting that Mercedes engine breathe. The DRS opens on the back of the car. And when we say DRS, what we're talking about is on the rear wing of these cars, you'll see every now and then the little bit of a flap opens up like you see right there. And that enables there to be less drag on the car and makes the cars much faster in a straight line. But those only are open and available in qualifying, and you're within a certain amount of space of the car ahead of you in the race itself. So XRL Snake has now completed a lap, 110.715, so the Mercedes, he is definitely making sure that they are still nice and powerful, even with Irdisa and Jan now being out of the cars. 10 drivers have set their lap times thus far, with XRL Blake and Books both anticipating to complete their outlap shortly, and then we have XRL Cargo, XRL Devil, and Constant Jet, who all will sooner rather than later put their first lap times down. Constant Jet is running down the final straightaway right now. He's got DRS open in the run down to the Wall of Champions. Clean track ahead of him. Now it looks like it's either Retro or Tome, I'm not sure, but one of them has pulled over there to try to open up the track, make it clean. There you are, Constant Jet up to 10th, 111.445. And now here comes XRL Devil. He's going to come around the Wall of Champions himself now. And at the line, Devil jumps up to 9th, 111.150. So only 8 cars have set times in the 110s right now. So all of the medium tire compounds are definitely good. Almost all the drivers at the top are running mediums. Excuse me, they are not good enough, I think, to get you into the 109s that we saw Hubert run into earlier. So right now it looks like a lot of drivers maybe starting on the medium tire compounds and might progress to the hards to the very end of the event. We're still waiting on Blake and Books to go ahead and set their lap times. Here's Books as he is rounding the hairpin right now. Blake is still in the pit lane. He has not exited the pit lane yet. If he does, when he does exit the pit lane, he'll have to move fast because he has not yet set a lap time. It says he will be running on these soft tire compounds when he finally does so. Here we are, booked through the wall champion chicane. Running down, the DRS zone opens, and at the line, Books is going to put down a time of 1:10.589, so another medium tire compound equipped car goes into the top 10. There are only 3 softs at the tops, so it seems like the difference between softs and mediums aren't really enough to justify running softs here in Q2 and starting the race on softs, unless you're a driver who, on pure pace, wouldn't be able to make it into the top 10 anyway. Retro has gone ahead and retired from the session. He has decided that there is no need to continue running. He is 10th. That's a really, really awkward decision to make, I'd say. He only has about 5/10 between himself and Patriot. And Patriot is on an outlap. Then Careless Jackson, who is about another 1,200 back off of Patriot, he's on his new outlap. Constant Jet is in the pits right now. Here's Scholl. He's 14th. He's on the mediums now, but he does have time. If he came in, threw up to the soft, he could do it, jump up and knock out Retro, and then obviously you have XRL Blake, who's still in the pits. But if Blake comes out, he could easily come out and knock Retro out, so I'm not sure if the decision to retire from Retro was a very smart one, but he must feel very, very confident right now, to say the least. The track is really, really clean right now, though. There's only about 5 cars on it at the moment. Careless Jackson here, who's currently 13th, he's running all by himself. 1:11.397 is the time he currently has to beat of his. This is his next flying lap. He is on the soft tire compound, trying to see if he can really quickly rush his way back into the top 10. XRL Devil has now come into the pits. He will be playing on softs by the looks of it here. Run down to the hairpin. Careless Jackson, a little bit more than a 10th up there in Sector 2. He has now entered Sector 3, rounded the hairpin, and it's a flat-out run down to the World Champion chicane. This is one of the fastest sections and one of the fastest straights in F1. Again, another really good camera angle. I wish we used more of those good camera angles through the World Champion chicane. Careless Jackson will improve to a 1:11.212, but that's not enough to get him up into the top 10 in times. Then I believe that is WCD Hubert who's going ahead. He's pulling in. He is not going to try and run for another lap. Here's XRL Snake, who's currently 8th on the timesheets. Is he going to stay out or is he going to come in? He is going to stay out. He seems to not stay out. He's going to come in. No need to continue working. Here's XRL Patriot, who is desperately trying to improve. He goes for the World Champions now. Out of the final corner, DRS zone open, and at the line, XRL Patriot. 1:11.276. He's still 13th on the timesheets. And now here's Constant Jet, who is behind him. I didn't see the DRS zone open. So Constant Jet did not open the DRS zone. He has not improved on his lap time. So Retro's decision to retire early might work out for him. XRL Blake and the other Renault has still not left the track to set a lap time. He needs to move sooner rather than later. He can't afford to be doing this. He needs to get out there as soon as possible. But there's still nothing from the Renault pit. Now, Snake and Scholl have both transitioned over into soft tire compounds, although they have not yet gotten onto the racetrack. If they are able to get out there and officially start on softs, that means that would be very interesting, but I would honestly hope they could start better than 8th and 9th if they're going to try and make that work. Now, XRL Gusty has gone ahead and has retired from the session out of 5th right now, so he seems to be very, very confident at the moment. XRL Patriot, once again, he's going to be coming into pits, really struggling in that Red Bull team to try and improve on their ability here. And here's Constant Jet. He's got DRS zone open. He is flying into the pits. He is not going to make it on the medium tire compounds. I imagine to call him the Williams team, get in there, swap into the soft as fast as you can, get out there, just try and make it into the top 10 right now. And again, nothing from XRL Blake. The time is less than 2 minutes. He needs to get out there now if he wants to set a lap time. There is not that much time left. Careless Jackson's going to go go by the line, but he invalidated that prior lap. He's still locked there in 12th. XRL Devil is also in the pits, but he has not yet improved on his time. He is still 11th.
Carlos Jackson has also invalidated this lap by going wide at the Wall of Champions chicane. So he's going to have to get around as quick as he can, start a third lap in a row. Hopefully he's got enough fuel on board.
Also, I'd hope he has the tires in a decent position also, because that if he does that, it will be his 4th lap on this set of softs. Granted, Hubert set his lightning fast 109 time in Q1 on 4-lap-old softs, but Hubert has also been kind of like a miracle worker in qualifying. I'm not saying he can't do it, I'm just saying I would not put money down on Carlos Jackson being able to do this right now.
No, he's also got no ERS left, so he's on 8% at the moment. I think he's going to be coming back into the pits and giving up.
Yeah, I hate to say it, but I think Carlos Jackson's attempt to make it into Q3 may have come to a close, and yes, he does. He's going to bring it in. His run at making it into Q3 is over, and that means there will be no McLaren representation going in to Q3. No McLaren representation at the top of the field. And the really interesting thing is that Retro retired early on the mediums, and he's still 10th. He's still going to advance if everything stays the way it is. The only driver right now that could challenge him is Constant Jet, because Blake, for whatever reason, in that Renault team, they're not sending XRL Blake out at all. So literally, it's only Constant Jet who can knock Retro out. And because of that, all 4 drivers who have been chasing Retro, they've all abandoned all strategy and have gone
He's not going to make it. Constant Jet isn't going to make it in time. He's missed the end of qualifying. He's not going to get set another lap. So Retro Rixie has made it through.
Absolute heartbreak and torment in the bottom end of Q2. Retro, basically, it almost would seem like a taunt. He was out there on the medium tire compounds, but no one was able to do it. The closest we got was XRL Devil on the softs, and he was only able to get to a 111.150. Crazy. You don't see that very often. Normally you see someone being able to throw on the softs and make some kind of changes at the very end. To not see that at all is really, really unique. XRL Cargo is still on the circuit, but he is not really working to do anything at the moment. He's already locked in the next session. I think that everyone who's out on the circuit is basically kind of aborted any attempt at improving. So the times you see right now are the times that they will take going into Q3, and that means XRL Blake will not move on because for whatever reason, the team did not let XRL Blake go out into the circuit. His team at XRL Devil only got to 11th. He will not move on to the next session. Carlos Jackson, McLaren will not move to the next section. XRL Patriot and the Red Bull will not move into the next section. Constant Jet and Williams will not move on to the next section. Retro puts on a 110.756 early on, and he will move to the next section. Scholl will move to the next round. Snake will move to the next round. Then Hubert in 7th, he'll move to the next round. He's on the medium tire compounds. XRL Cargo on the sauce, he'll move to the next round. XRL Gusty and Books XXX will both move on to the next round. They're running medium tire compounds. Otwee and Tome both running softs. They'll make it to the next round. And Electra Fritz on the medium put down the fastest time in Q2 with a 110.356. So a very interesting, kind of strange Q2, as it seems like despite running much faster tires, no one is able to overtake the time that Retro set earlier. I'm just kind of in shock. You really don't see that very often, and especially when the case of the Renaults, there were 2 Renaults back there. I'm honestly shocked that Blake and Devlin didn't get out there and tried to get some DRS and drafting off of each other down any of the straights to try and improve their times. But our Q2 section is now coming to an end. A lot of drivers are going to be starting on the softs in the back half of the field, though. At least everyone from 11th to 15th. So they're going to have to hope something really works out well for them, because otherwise they're going to be burning up their tires fast in the midst of a lot of intense battling here. Anyways, as we look at the final rundown. Yeah, go ahead.
Sorry, I was just going to say everybody that starts outside of the top 10 will be able to choose whichever tyres they want, so they will get fresh tyres.
Ah, okay.
Well done to Fritz for finishing that qualifying session on top on the medium tyres. Not historically one of our fastest drivers, but that's really impressive.
Fritz, yeah, Fritz definitely bringing it home for the AlphaTauri team. The really frustrating part, though, is that for AlphaTauri, there's not going to be a whole lot of partnership and working together. He's the only AlphaTauri driver, by the looks of it, in the top 9. I think he's the only AlphaTauri driver made into Q2 as well. So, tale of feast and famine right now for the AlphaTauri team. As we are now beginning to load up Q3, and for whatever reason, Retro does not advance into Q3. So only 9 drivers are in Q3 now. I wonder what happened to Retro.
He must have crashed out. That's the only reason why it would be.
Huh. I didn't see anything on the timesheets, but not timesheets, on the track map that would have specified that he would have crashed out. I'm not saying it didn't happen. I'm just saying this.
Yeah, okay, I'll just go for Retro and see if he crashed out on Q2.
So there we are. So Retro makes it into Q2 but crashes out and will not make it into Q3. Despite having the time that would have gotten him there. So frustrating. I'm very sorry to those of you watching for not being able to get that covered and get that information to you earlier. That really shakes up everything here. But already we have 6 drivers out on the circuit of the 9 who have made it into Q3. Here we are. Snake is now on his way out, so we now only have 2 drivers who have not yet left, and that is Wilkes, who is now leaving pit road, and Cargo, who has just now pulled out, so everyone is going to be out on circuit. It's going to be really interesting to see if we have a lot of drivers having to pull over or not. It looks like for the moment there's a lot of really, really clean track, though. And Schold with DRS open down the line. He's on the soft tire compounds. I believe everyone's going to be running softs. They're going to try and do the absolute best they can here to put down the fastest time. We saw Hubert put down a 109 in Q1. Can he replicate that, or can someone else replicate that? That's going to be the big question. One of the things I love about this circuit, 3 different DRS zones, even if we didn't have to worry about DRSers. And Schold has actually invalidated this lap. So Schold, despite being the first one out, he has invalidated his lap. He will not be the first driver to put down lap time. More than likely, that honor will go to WCD Hubert, who has now rounded the hairpin. As I was saying, 3 nice long straightaways, all with their own slightly unique characteristics based on their entry and exit corners. I could gush about this track forever. This is honestly my absolute favorite circuit on the Formula 1 schedule, and I wish more racing series used it, and Hubert invalidates his lap now at the Wall of Champions. So now it's Ottawi who's also invalidated his lap, so who's going to be the first person to actually put a lap time down? It's Electra Fritz, 110.190.
It's another great lap from Fritz. Snake is next to cross the line.
Snake has not invalidated his lap. Really, really hard, pushing it there through the Wall of Champions, and at the line, his time, 1:10.391. Not good enough to get him ahead of Fritz. Not yet, at least. Tome also invalidated his lap, so he has not yet set a lap time. Now, I believe it will be Fox who will be the next person to set a lap time down. His lap is still clean. What will it be at the line? To the top, 109.941. There we are. We are back in the 109 range. Cargo, 110.374. And there's a yellow flag there in the sector 3, but I believe that is not. I think that was Gusty or Hubert. Yeah, that was Hubert pulling over. He's going to come into the pits. Hubert, set a lap time, invalidated it, and he's coming in. I'm guessing he'll probably try and change up some things with the car, put some new tires on. He's going to come in with the other Haas machine as well. Schold is on another outlap. Tome is on the rundown of that final straightaway right now. But he doesn't have DRS open. I think he's going to go ahead and pit. And yes, he does. So Tome is going to go ahead and pit. So right now, we only have 5 drivers who have set a lap time here. Right now, only 3 drivers are on the track. Audouy, Cargo, and Schold. Everyone else is pitting for new tires, trying to see what they can do to improve, or in some cases, just put a lap time down right now. Here's Schold blasting his way through the wall of champion chicane. The lap is still good, so this is it. Will he be able to improve? Cargo has invalidated his current lap. Audouy is coming into the pits very slow. I wonder if he may have he has decided to coast it, really not trying to push right now. 6.5 minutes left in Q3, and only 5 of our 9 drivers have set lap times thus far. And right now, Schold has pretty much a clean track almost all to himself. There is XRL Cargo, who's a little bit ahead of him, but he's invalidated his lap, and if Schold starts raining down, I would not be surprised. Yes, there is. He's going to pull over. Kind of a risky place to pull over Cargo, but Cargo does pull over, so Schold, nothing but clean track ahead of him. Now, I believe that is Gussie. Yes, Gussie has now come out onto the circuit, as has Snake. Gussie trying to set up for his first flying lap. Snake trying to improve. But here's Schold in the Williams on that long last straightaway. He's got the DRS open in that Williams. What is he going to be able to do? Champion chicane, and now down the front straightaway, DRS open, the lap is green. Schold, 6 on the timesheets, 1:10.771. Audouy has gone ahead and jumped into the pits, and I believe XRL Cargo is pitting as well. Yes, so XRL Cargo will now pit as well. Gussie is going to cross the line, so Gussie is now setting up to put down his first flying lap. Bear is on another outlap. He's trying to put down some flyers here. Thus far, only 1 driver has put down a time of 1:09. That's Books. But Audouy is really close. He's only 2 thousandths out from the 1:09 range right now. He has now begun his flying lap. Schold coming down, trying to see if he can improve. No, he's not. He's coming down into the pits. He is not. He's going to have to jump on, swap tires real quickly if he wants to take another crack at it. Here's XRL Snake, though, as he's taking the run down into the hairpin. Snake with a 1:10.391 right now. He needs to improve by roughly 2/10, actually closer to 17 thousandths, not 200s. 17 thousandths if he wants to move ahead of Cargo right now. Gussie has now set a lap time of 1:10.698. That's good enough to move him into 6th. And here comes Snake in the Mercedes. He's got the DRS open on the straight. Is he going to be able to improve? Yes, he does. He goes up to 3rd, 1:10.170. So if they were to start the race where they are lined up right now, Snake and Books would be nose to tail. Tome is still in the pit lane. He has not gone out and set a lap yet. Here's WCD Hubert, though. Hubert to the top, 109.689. It took him a while, but he did it. He got right to the top. Now, the big thing is, will Hubert be able to pull off a good race start? Because he's been having some historically sluggish and poor starts here. And if he has that happen here, that could very easily cause a stack up on the run down to turn 1. You need to be really, really careful. It's going to be interesting to see if Hubert can convert a top front row starting position into running in the first top 2 or top 3 positions early on. And Gussie is going to join him on the front. Gusty has gotten down to a 109.918. So right now, it's looking like it might be a Haas lockup on the front of the board. Tome is now beginning his exit. He's waiting until late to go. I think he's going to have time to set 2 fast laps. These are going to be critical. He cannot afford to invalidate either of them. And he especially can't afford to invalidate either of them at the Wall of Champions. Everyone else has set a lap time. Scholl is on another out lap as he is rounding the hairpin. He will have time to set about 2 laps as well. Here's Cargo. He's trying to improve. He's out 110.374 right now. 3 drivers are in the 109 range with Ottaway, who is Cargo's teammate in Alfa Romeo. He's really, really close to also breaking into that range if he can make something happen. The Haas's have pulled, well, one of the Haas's have pulled in. I believe that is Gusty actually was pulled in. No need for him to push even harder. Here we are, Darius is open. Cargo at the line, will he improve? Yes, he does. Cargo's gonna knock Gusty off the front row. Cargo goes to a 109.836. Here's Tome. He comes through the Wall Champion chicane. There's a yellow flag in Sector 3, but I'm not really sure what for. There's no other cars here outside of Tome. Gusty has retired from the session officially.
That's the reason for the yellow flags as well.
But Gusty was... That's weird, because Gusty was in the pit lane when he retired. Yeah, that's just... I'll chalk that up to F1 2020 being F1 2020.
That's where he's just
here's
invalidated on his final corner.
Yeah, that's a real shame. He's going to only have time to really... Yeah, this lap's not going to be good either. Ottaway's not going to be able to improve, period, for the time he has. So the 110.002 is the best we're going to see out of him. And that means that 6 is the absolute best he can start this race in. Scholl has gone up to second, though. We weren't really paying attention to him, but Scholl is converting here late, 109.826. So we now have 5 drivers in the 109 range, and Scholl in the Williams. Really making things happen here late, but I don't think he's not going to have enough time to do any more laps. This lap he's on now is going to be best. And Tome to the top, very late in the session, but 109.570. He saved the absolute best for last, and Scholl is going to be the only driver who will have a chance to compete with him now, but the gap between the two is about 3/10. He's going to have to find a lot of time here. Nope, he's not going to go for it. So that means that the lap times we see on the board right now are the final lap times. So XRL Tome saves the absolute best for last and knocks Hubert off the top. And we have 6 drivers in the 109 range with the 7th just outside of it. Absolutely incredible right now. And we're not to the race itself yet. I'd say this qualifying session has been really, really impressive all the way through. So Tome, hears that Retro doesn't make it to the next round, and he's like, don't worry, mate. I can perform for the team, and he sure does. He goes to the top at the last possible second. That's not something I would have felt confident doing, but man, he really, really was happy with the way that car was set up. No need to make any final adjustments, no need to run test runs. He went out there and did one of the things he was paid for. The drivers who are still on the track at this point have been taken over by the AI. Those aren't drivers actually running right now. So in the top 9, Electrofritz, 110.190. He was at the top of the timesheets at the very start after a bunch of other drivers invalidated their first lap, but he quickly plummeted to 9th. 8th would go to XRL Snake in the Mercedes, 110.170. Ottaway, 110.002, and he was setting himself up to put an even better lap time down, but invalidated at the Wall of Champions at the worst possible moment. Was not able to make that work. Books will be starting 6th, 109.941. Gusty will be starting 5th, 109.918. Cargo, 109.836 for 4th, and he's just 10, not 10, he's just 100th off of Scholl, who's going to be starting 3rd, 109.826. WCD Hubert, who won basically with the fastest time in Q1. We thought he was going to do the same thing in Q3, but not quite. He put down a time of 109.689. And XRL Tome, as I said earlier, saving the best for last, 109.570. Absolutely incredible as we wrap up Q3. And we'll be underway for the race itself very shortly here. Also, we have 21 viewers. To all 21 of you who are watching, welcome you with open arms. This is the XRL X3 Championship, and we are glad to have you here with us. We are running at Circuit de Gilles Villeneuve in Montreal, Canada right now. Big shakeup in the points going into this race. Lots of new drivers coming in, a lot of veterans having to move out, so everything is getting blown wide open here. So, really, really interesting Q3, Q2, and Q1. All of the qualifying sessions, I say, were pretty interesting. Yeah, this... very interesting indeed. So, I'm just curious, from your perspective, Jono, we have wrapped up qualifying, going into the race. What do we do on the run down into the first few corners? Do you take it really hard? It's not a very wide track here. It may be made it may be a North American circuit, but it's definitely not made with North American intentions in mind. It's a very narrow circuit. So, how do you take the first few corners here?
Absolutely. I think this is a really tight first couple of corners, especially turns 1 and 2. Turn 3 through to turn 5, 6, 7, all really tight still. It's not really built for overtaking this track. You've got to pick your moments very well. I would say from the start, you want to be on the right-hand side. So on the outside of turn 1 gives you the inside of turn 2, which is more important, to be honest. But I can imagine we're going to see, there's a lot of drivers up at the top on mediums, a lot of drivers sort of in the midfield that are starting on the softs. I think we're going to see a lot of people coming from further back, attempting to make those passes early on.
Well, like I normally will do, I will put my focus closer to the back of the field on the initial starts because, yes, the race could easily be decided on the first lap, first corner, but the race is usually a lot more than just the winner itself. There are often a lot of crazy moves we see at the very back of the field for sure, so I will definitely be looking at the drivers right about in like 12th, 15th around there to see if they're able to make anything happen, weave their way through potential carnage, because drivers who are able to avoid lap 1 carnage at Monaco 2 weeks ago, or at I forgot the name of the circuit we were at last week. I could see it plain as day, and I forgot the name. Azerbaijan.
Baku.
And yeah, Baku. Thanks, Baku. And drivers who basically said thanks, Baku, and avoid situations early on there as well on the first lap ended up having setups for really, really good days. So yeah, that's usually where my interest is. I'm not saying ignore the front. Absolutely not. It's just there's more to the race than just the top 4 or 5 drivers, and I really, really want to be able to put some focus on the guys in the back.
Absolutely.
So a full field, 20 cars will be running at the start of today's grid, which I believe is we only had 19 drivers last week at Azerbaijan. I think we had 18 or 19 at Monaco. I think the last time we had a full 20-car grid in X3 was Catalonia. I know we did at the Netherlands, but I think Catalonia was the last time we had a full 20-car grid here. So, yeah.
I think we had full 20 at Monaco, but we had one driver with a qualifying ban, so there was only 19 participated in qualifying. I'm sure we had 20 on the grid.
Remember, I know someone had a qualifying ban and didn't get a go at all. I know one of the X3 drivers actually was nice enough to join me in the booth for that because he felt that his presence on the track would be a hazard. So, yeah, you might be right. Excuse me. I will admit, my memory is not the absolute greatest. I swear, I'm only 25. I swear I'm not 75, but my memory is just not the greatest. That's why I don't run for government offices. Yeah, that too. Also, there's a new race every single week, and not just a race. There's a full qualified and everything, and it's very easy to miss stuff, especially when there are massive incidents at the first lap that can take out a bunch of drivers, or even catch up the pace car like we saw at Monaco. Like, You can forget some of the smaller stuff.
All right, I'm giving the drivers the go-ahead. We're ready to start.
Retro, Stumpy, Cargo, Careless Jackson. Here we are. Everyone's starting to put their check marks on. They're going to be going underway very shortly here. They'll take one quick pace lap just to get the tires kind of warmed up before they line up on the grid.
Drivers are now filing up on the grid.
I just realized I went through the entirety of the grid order and I had my mic muted. Absolutely impressive job. And I'm saying that it's getting word that Blake and Constant Jet just disqualified, according to the game. Not sure what's happening there, because I definitely see Blake and Constant Jet still on the grid, but it's saying the game is saying that they're disqualified.
It's just disqualified from the formation lap because they made contact.
As the lights out and away we go, and Scholl gets a drive penalty for an apparent jump start right off the bat, so that's not going to be good for him. But look at that, we see the Renaults really struggling to pick their way through traffic back there. It's really stop and go, and that's XRL Blake who's gone off the circuit there. He's going to pull right to the back of the grid. There's a little bit of damage, as I think that's one of the Mercedes back there. Yes, it's XRL Snake whose car is off the circuit in the grass as well. So a lot of damage going on in the back there. Hubert was able to pull off a halfway decent start though by the looks of it. He's still in third. He's there with his teammate Dusty. And Scholl, he's in second, but he's going to have to do a drive-through because according to the game, he jumped the start.
That's such a shame because he stopped again. After he jumped the start, he stopped again, which allowed Tone to have a 1 second head start before he came out of turn 2. He should have just kept going.
Fight once the Haas is going down this long straight here. No DRS enables yet. The normal won't enable into the third lap. But here we are, run down. He has not taken the drive-through yet. But very nice and clean first lap. We did a significant way. But Stumpy is in there, he's repairing. It looks like they do have to repair the front wing, so I take back what I said, because something must have happened to Stumpy that I missed. But we are now under a virtual safety car, I'm guessing for whatever happened to Stumpy. So a virtual safety car here on lap 2, but all 20 drivers are still on the track, which is better than what I could say for a lot of the prior races. So
I think Stumpy had a collision with Turbo, because Turbo is also he's also lost a bit of wing, dropped a couple of positions. He was just ahead of Stumpy.
Yeah, those two started at the very back of the grid when we went green, so that is very much possible. We are back underway though, very short virtual safety car. As Constant Jet and Patriot are having a little bit of a duel here down that long back straightaway. And just look a little bit ahead of them. Patriot trying to get ahead of them, and they're going to make contact, and Constant Jet gets turned! Constant Jet gets turned by Patriot going through the wall of champions, but he did not take too much damage, but he will lose a bunch of time. He falls all the way back to 18th. Very rough time there. Scholl is going to be coming out of the pits now. He has made his drive-through penalty and has dropped him all the way back to 16th. A little bit farther up in the order, Retro has caught Fratters and Electric Fritz. The two AlphaTauris are ahead of him. What can Retro do to try and get by them? He's on the second of the two significant straights here. Well, third, I guess? Depends on how you look at it, because that is a DRS straight. This run down to the hairpin isn't, but either way, here are. Retro takes a really quick look to the inside of Fratters. Can't do anything with it yet, but he needs to move fast because he's got Carlos Jackson behind him. Retro has the soft tire compounds, Carlos Jackson has the hard. So the longer Retro stays behind those two AlphaTauris behind him, the more likely Jackson will be able to walk by him on the hard. A little bit into the grass, exiting corners. Whippy has gotten by Blake a little bit further back to 13th and 14th position. Oddly and Cargo, the two Alpha male teammates, have found each other. They're 3rd and 4th right now, but they're both about 2 seconds off of WCD Hubert, who's kind of running by himself, 2.1 seconds off of our leader, XRL Tome. So Tome absolutely converting his pole position into a dominant lead early on in this race. Turbo's gone ahead and swapped out for the hard tire compound, so he's going to probably run the hards as long as he can, then maybe try to jump onto softs or mediums for the quick little sprint to the end. Stumpy, on the other hand, when he took damage, he didn't care. He threw the softs back on, so he will more likely have to come into the pits again sooner rather than later. Constant Jet kind of ran on his own. And then we have this here, from Patriot all the way up until Whippy, 13th to 17th. All these cars are really, really close to each other. Patriots, I will admit, Patriots falling off the back of shoulders a little bit, but once DRS is open, like we see it is for Snake, Snake's going into the pits, okay, so something may have happened to Snake. But Scholl and Whippy has got 3-second time penalty for multiple different warnings for track violations. But we could definitely be seeing some good battling back here, because they're all going to have DRS enabled on the straights off of each other. And Electric Fritz now has a 3-second time penalty for multiple track violation warnings as well. A lot of track violation warnings early on in this race. We're not even a third of the way through.
Rixon's just lost it under when he put the power down. He's got it under the was that so right? Is that it must have been somebody else's so
trying to see who it might be. He's right now right behind Carlos Jackson.
Yeah, he just lost.
And looking at Jackson,
he doesn't have any damage either.
And it's not Smash, because XRL Smash behind him hasn't been able to do it. And now Hubert in second now has a 3-second time penalty for multiple warnings as well. So this may be one of those classic X3 scenarios where we don't really know what the finishing order is until everyone's across the line simply because of all of it. And I see more wing falling off. And I think I'm seeing little bits of debris here and there jumping around, but I don't see where they've come from. And something has happened to Patriot and Whippy, because Whippy decides to just completely abort the run into Q in turn 2, and he turns it! Whippy turns it around and wrecks his car there. Coming out of turn number 3, so I think Whippy may have been the one who was having damage or something wrong with that car. I saw some debris bounce off the little bow that Whippy was having with the drivers around him. Then Whippy went ahead and basically aborted turns 1 and 2, and when he come back on the circuit and put the power down, the car spun out from behind him and he knocked himself into the outside wall. Now he is back underway, but that car is definitely damaged. You can see the front wing is gone on that thing. Now we are back under green. It's not really going to put much of a slowdown on the track, and he is ahead of anyone. I think Stumpy is the only guy who will really end up catching him, but it's definitely going to make things difficult. Cargo now has a 3-second time penalty as well for, again, multiple warnings. Fratters, multiple warnings. You know what? I take back what I said. If everyone has a 3-second time penalty for track violations, then nobody has a 3-second time penalty, because that's very quickly what it seems like we're migrating to as this race goes on. Blake has a 5-second penalty for speeding in pit lane. That's a different one, and we are back under a virtual safety car now.
I can't see any reason for
Scholl
a
and
safety
Blake
car.
are both pitting.
Nothing obvious
Say again?
other than perhaps... I can't see any obvious reason for the virtual safety car other than Whippy going slowly, but he's in the pits now.
Yeah. I didn't... Unless maybe the front wing... I don't know if the front wing would have been laying on the track long enough. I think the game would have despawned it. So yeah, I'm a little bit curious as to that also. We are back under green though, and DRS has been re-enabled.
And Whippy's gone wide straight out of the pits. He's avoided getting any damage, but he just went straight across the pass at turn 2.
Looks like that Red Bull is handling very devilishly, and in a bad devilishly way for sure here. He has fallen all the way to 20th, and there's still more than 25 laps in this race. It's going to be a long race for XRL.
Oh, Gusty and that wave just made contact. Gusty went in a little bit too hot turn 1.
Yeah, Gusty is now... He's starting to back up now in that runoff of turn 1, but he's going to lose a bunch of time. He cuts through the yellow painted grass there in turn 2, and he moves back on, but he has dropped from top 5 positions all the way down to 12th. It's really gonna hurt. And now Retro, second time penalty for both points. I know what, I'm gonna stop calling out time penalties for track limits, because there's so many of them. I'm basically going to name every driver, I think, except for possibly Tome. And speaking of which, Tome is leading still, but the gap between himself and Hubert has dropped to about 7/10 right now. And if Hubert's close enough, he might be able to get the DRS open, might be able to make something happen the following lap. Yes, he does. He has DRS open. He's not going to be able to make something happen this straightaway, but he will probably be able to make something happen sooner rather than later. Oh, wow! Hubert really sideways coming out. Champions there. He doesn't care. He's still hoofing it, but he lost about 4/10 in that little running wide, struggling to put the power down properly, and that's like enabled Cargo right behind him to catch him now. And something has happened to Retro. He is pitting. Retro is pitting, and he is being joined by Ottowy. So Ottowy and Retro both are pitting here. Gusty has gone ahead and pitched. A lot of drivers now jumping on different tire compounds. We're now seeing the changeover in strategies. But right now, medium tire compounds dominate. 9 of the top 10 spots are running medium compounds. The only real exception is this driver here, Careless Jackson, who is running hard. Credit to XRL Devil, none of the Renaults made it out of Q2, but Devil's turned that around. He's currently running 4th in a little bit of a spat with points here, going down this nice long final straightaway here. But these three drivers Cargo, Hubert, and Tome all right on top of each other right now. And the big thing is, Hubert is just far enough behind Tome that he can't just use him, get overtaken with the pure DRS overtake. He needs to get a little closer to that. So the thing is, he has to spend more time basically trying to hold off Cargo than being able to outright challenge Tome. And Tome has the advantage that he's one of the drivers who does not have a time penalty right now. He can do what he can basically pull and he can just hang out with these two drivers, not really attack or fight with them too much, to stay in their vicinity, and he's more like guaranteed to hold the spot over them. Here they are, powered down as they're doing the run out of the hairpin. I imagine they'll open up DRS relatively shortly here. Yeah, we see DRS is open on Cargo and Hubert farther up. And that's enough for Hubert to close into about 45 hundredths, just a little bit more than just a little bit less than half a second going down to the wall of championship game. And then Hubert closes a little bit more going into turn 1. But that seems to be about it, because then we start getting into the more twisty and technical sections. Tome's car seems to be better set up through there than Hubert's. And now Fratters gets the 5-second penalty for speed in the pit lane, apparently.
That's a shame.
Fastest lap, 113.416. But yeah, that is definitely a rough run for Fratters. He had a relatively respectable start. Now he's going to have to try and outrun the 5-second penalty here.
I think Fratters was at 9 places before he went into this. Smash is now at 10 places. So he's the biggest winner today.
Oh, Hubert is going to turn it almost completely sideways, coming out of the hairpin. That's going to enable Cargo to get right by him. It seems very, very obvious that Hubert has a great car on the straightaways, but when it comes to points where you have to put the power down, the rear end of that car is not very happy. It just turned right around on him, coming out, well, almost turned all the way around, but the rear end starts going sideways on him, coming out of the hairpin. We were right on board with Cargo and saw it happen. And this means that Cargo's chance to now try and make something happen against XRL Tome. But the big thing is they're both going to come out on lap traffic very shortly. That's XRL Stumpy, who's just a little bit up the road from them. Meanwhile, a little bit farther back, Blake has caught Retro, who has caught Fratters. All three of these drivers are probably going to try and make something happen amongst them. And Blake really, really aggressive on the exit of the World Championship. Kane does not have DRS, so it looks like Retro's a little bit faster at that time. So it's Retro's time. He's going to try and make something happen to Fratters here. Here we are. Turbo's going to pull over. He will not be a factor in this battle for a lead right now. Hubert's got DRS open, but he's falling off significantly off the back of Cargo. That car really needs to be careful whenever he puts the power down. When he is careful, he's definitely faster in Sector 3 than either Cargo or Tome ahead of him. The problem is, when it comes to putting the power down, his car does not seem to be very stable. But Cargo and Tome are now actually having a little bit of a battle. Tome has to be a little bit defensive against Cargo. Electra Fritz 5-second penalty for speed in the pit lane again. As now Electra Fritz is going to fall out of the top 10 as he is making the pit stop. You can see the entire front suspension set up there as it starts to flex as you go around the hairpin corner. A lot of really nice camera angles being used in this broadcast. But anyways, he's got DRS open, so here's Cargo trying to see if he can do anything to Tome. But he's about 6/10 off, so he's not able to really challenge him. But here we are, Tome is going ahead. He's pitting out of the top spot. So this means Cargo, by default, will inherit the race lead. about 1.1 seconds ahead of Hubert. Hubert really struggling, putting everything down. Brooks is now going to move up into third as he has not yet made his pit stop. The big thing is, will Careless Jackson end up ahead of Tome? Here's Tome as he's taking the pit lane exit. Pit lane exit actually makes you faster than going through just turn 1 and 2 normally. But, so yeah, he will stay ahead of Careless Jackson. Careless Jackson staying out in the hard tire compounds. He's only going to be able to get up to 6. He would not be able to directly impact the race for lead at the moment. A lot of movement going down farther back. Constant Jet and Smash both going ahead, making their pit stops. Stumpy, Turbo, and Whippy, those three drivers have all gone a lap down altogether at the moment. And Hubert seems to be very gradually dropping off the back of Cargo. He needs to be so careful putting the power down. A yellow flag in Sector 3. Yeah, Stumpy has turned that car around. The front wing is damaged. You can see about half of that right front wing is gone. He gets going, then he stops, and he turns it into the outside wall. I'm not really sure what he's doing there. Get away, the other drivers, please, Stumpy. I wonder if there might be damage to the suspension, because he seems to be having a little bit of trouble. He's going underway now. He's retired. He is now officially retired from the event. That was weird because the car was moving and then it retired him. On the onboard, the car is like oddly jumping, so I'm really curious as to what the heck went on there. But he is now retired and no one else is going to be around with him. Books is now taking over a lead, as are the two drivers who were leading, which was Hubert and Tome, have now gone ahead and pitted. Tome now has two cars between himself and Hubert. That's Otway and Careless Jackson. So Tome looking to put himself into a very good position right now going forward. And here's Cargo and Tome. So Cargo actually leads ahead of Tome with the pit stops, but it's not going to matter because here we are, side by side for what will eventually be the lead of the race, going into the Wall of Champions, and neither of them took it very clearly. Cargo is ahead, Tome is behind them though. I'll be very curious to see if either of them get penalized for Oddly gets a 3-second time penalty, but what about Cargo and Tome? They made contact and both took really awkward lines through the Wall of Champions. Apparently the game says nothing. So Cargo now holds the lead over XRL Tome, but only for the moment, and only by about 6/10. Tome might be able to run him down. And Blake now has a speeding penalty for speeding in the pit lane, 5 seconds. Wow. Meanwhile, Retro now has a 1:12.7 for his fastest lap time. He's back there in 10th position, so he is in position to get the bonus point for that now. It's going to be really interesting for Tome, because Tome has now caught Cargo. Once again, as Cargo has caught Devil. They're neck and neck ahead of him. Going through the hairpin, Devil runs nice and wide to not compete with Cargo, but now he's going to be competing now with Tome. Now they all should have DRS on each other on this long straightaway. Here we are. Tome's got DRS on Cargo. Cargo also has DRS. He's closing in, but he's not closing in fast enough. It doesn't matter. He's looking to the inside. He thinks better of it. He's not going to make anything happen. Going through the Wall of Champions once more. Cargo much smoother than Tome. Going through the Wall of Champions chicane though. And something has happened to Devil. Devil is really slow now. And it looks like he has hit the Wall of Champions. Devil has damaged the front wing of that car in the Wall of Champions. He is third right now. He's run 16 laps on these hard tire compounds. He's going to more likely have to pit this following lap though.
Devil actually went into the Tome there. He didn't hit the wall, he hit Tome. So that slowed Tome down as well.
Oh, I was right on board with Tome. I didn't hear or see any impact, but you're probably... Yeah, that's the only reason I said that. I'm not saying it didn't happen. It definitely happened. I'm just saying I didn't see or hear it from the onboard. So, Tome's not letting it harm him whatsoever. He's caught Cargo again. So we are having a very spirited battle for the lead right now. Ooh, Tome really wide goes through the hairpin.
Tome really needs to make a move sooner rather than later so it gets the advantage of these big tires.
Yeah, now, the longer this battle goes on, the more and more it's in favor of Cargo. He's right under his rear wing. He's got DRS, but he looks to the outside. He thinks better of it. He keeps making moves, but he's not making them in ways that he can capitalize on it. And it's only happening in the Wall of Champions area. And he falls from being like right underneath Cargo to being, this time, 1.2 seconds off of him. He needs to figure out a way to get by him. And here's the other thing. Ottawi is third. He is, granted, like 8.7 seconds off the lead. But if Tome and Cargo wreck, Ottawi will be the driver to benefit from it. Devil is now in the pits to replace that front wing. Fratters has now cycled himself back into the 10th position. So good job on his part. Constant Jet in the Williams, he's back up in 9th. Retro has worked his way up into 8th. Electric Prince is here in 7th. He is running on 5-lap old soft, so he'll probably have to pit rather than later. Then you have Books here, who's currently ranked 6th on hard tire compounds. WCD Hubert is fighting with Careless Jackson on the run down to the hairpin. He locks up the front tires. He's on much pressure harder than Careless Jackson, but he's still struggling, putting the power down out of the straight. So he had to stop for Careless Jackson, but he threw it away when he put the power down too aggressively, spat the car sideways. Now Hubert and Jackson are once again going side by side on the run down to the Wall of Champions. Who's it going to be? He picked this Careless Jackson against the inside wall. They're really tight, so Hubert is going to take that very dirty pitch, but it was legal. Ottawi is now hitting. Meanwhile, a little bit farther up, and the battle for the lead. Tome has popped Cargo's once again. The gap is only about 5 tenths with him. Can Tome do anything to Cargo? That is the question. He's got DRS open on the straight. Not enough to close. Congrats to XRL Devil. Fastest lap, 1:11.274. Run down to the hairpin. Tome, 4 tenths out. It looks like it's going to be the same dance been before. He'll be right on Cargo's rear end as they come down to the Wall of the Champions once again. But he needs to make something happen. He's 3 tenths out. DRS opens now. 2 tenths. 1 tenth. Coming down. They're neck and neck. He's got the inside line. He's going to close by him right cleanly with the DRS assisted overtake. But Tome is not good enough through the Wall of Champions. Cargo is right behind them now. He's going to pick him to the outside. They're going to be neck and neck for a top spot going into turn number 1. And Tome is still ahead, but they're still side by side going to turn 2. Cargo has the preferred inside line. Doesn't matter. Tome is going to shoot out the outside turn 2. He is finally back in front of Cargo.
That was exciting. What a battle that was for half a lap at least. It was neck and neck.
Oh, wow. I was a little bit more stressed on the vocal cords than I wanted to put on this early. I'm still going to be doing the X2 race a little bit later as well. This is why I love Montreal, because you can't just throw away one element of the car, and then when you have 2 cars that are very well balanced, the driver's skill and the unique talents and flavors of the driver's ability really come into play. Even with the DRS giving you a sort of artificial overtake, it doesn't matter because you're close enough that you can still rely on your personal abilities and personal talents as a driver to overcome situations where you may or may not be in a perfect position on the racetrack. Tome was on the first line going to the Wall of Champions, but he was much smoother going through it, and that enabled him to continue carrying that battle all the way through the straightaway. Tome is now our leader, ahead of Cargo. But now here's the big thing. Tome is on 7-lap old mediums, Cargo is on 6-lap old hards. So as this goes on, Cargo needs to just stay on the back of Tome to keep putting pressure on. Careless Jackson now has a 5-second penalty for speeding in the pit lane after running 19 laps on his hards. He is now jumping onto the medium tire compounds. I believe that is Smash. Yes, XRL Smash is now going ahead and making his next pit stop as well. He is jumping onto the mediums. The only 2 drivers still on softs. There are Constant Jet and Electric Fritz. Both of them have been on for 7 and 8 laps. So I anticipate we'll see the 2 of them jump onto medium or hard tire compounds sooner rather than later. I think mediums will probably be the call of the day at this point. Yeah, Tome is using those mediums. He's already opened a 1.4 second gap over Cargo. Very, very smooth on his part. Oh, and Blake has gone off there and back in 17th position. That Renault's really, really struggling as he enters the second sector right now. He's really not really running with anyone else on the circuit at the moment, but I wonder what's up with that car. Oh, he's damaged the front wing. Almost all the end plates on that front wing on Blake's is gone. So XRL Blake in 17th, he'll probably go a lap down because he will have to pit. He's not even trying to make the corners because he realizes the car can't even remotely do it. And the big problem for Blake is that the next two cars that will catch him, if A1 catches him, will be our two leaders, Tome and Cargo. He does make the hairpin corner. All right, I don't think it's going to be too much of an issue. I think Blake will be able to make it into the pits without issue, and will be able to replace it with the wing, but he will go a lap down, and he will be our third driver to go a lap down. There's also ourselves something who's multiple laps down. He has DNF'd. Retro, 3-second time penalty for multiple warnings. Come on. Hey, out of curiosity, Jono, have you included your audio?
Yes.
Okay, because I just had someone else message me saying if someone else was in the stream, you've not been able to hear me. But I also know you've not been talking nearly as much as me, so that might be all that is as well.
Maybe, but in X1 they're having similar issues, so they've been going through this for the last 20 minutes. Sorry, the last 20 minutes of qualifying, they have the same issue. I think it might be a Twitch bug.
Yeah, it might be a Twitch issue, or it might just be a situation where because we're a little bit more calm, cool, and collected broadcaster than I am, you're just being a little bit more reserved and a little bit more careful with the words. At least we don't have to worry about you accidentally saying something that could put someone in trouble here.
No, if I did that, I would be the one in trouble.
Meanwhile, a little bit farther back in the field, Ottawi has now caught Gusty at about the 6th and 7th here. He's got the DRS, but he's trying to do something. Gusty to the fade line, though, on that back straightaway, really blocking off any chance for Ottawa to make anything happen. They're now on the run down into the hairpin corner. Not able to make anything work yet, but Ottawi is there. Might. Also, I want to give credit to Retro here. Part of it has been off the back of now 14-lap mediums, but he's been able to make his car get all the way up into 5th position. So very, very good job by Retro. He's definitely, I would say, the rate he's going, he could honestly contend for driver of the day. Then you also have Books, who is currently running in the 4th position. Not really in a position to fight with anyone else at the moment. He's about about 2.5, 3 seconds ahead of Retro, and then 7 seconds off of Hubert. And Hubert really, really frustrating because he has a great car set up for the straightaways, but it's really, really bad at putting the power down coming out of the corners. It's been a rough day for him, to say the least. What happened here? Hubert! Something has happened! Hubert has spun it! Hubert has spun it! Just as I was talking about, Hubert has spun, and he has now knocked the front wing off the car, trying to get turned around. Now he's going to bring out the virtual safety car. You can see the entire front wing knocked off. WCD Hubert, just as I got to talk with him, I am sorry, Hubert. I didn't mean to hit you with the commentator's curse, but he looped the car around on the back straightaway. The issues with casing the rear of the car, putting the power down, has finally caught up to him. The race has gotten away from him. Hubert, the magic man in qualifying, has now seen the race go away from him. We are back in the green flag, though. He's going to enter the pit lane, swap of what could have been a top 5 position. Now is more likely going to see him drop out of the top 10 spots in the race. Absolutely frustrating for him. XRL Gusty is also going to go ahead and pit. Oh, more trouble because Gusty is already on there repairing his front wing because something must have happened to Gusty as well. So Hubert has to wait even longer to get the wing repair on his car. So everything going bad to worse for the Haas team altogether right now. As Gusty has fallen all the way down to 14th position as well. Absolute travesty. And Tome is actually coming down. Tome is coming through the Wall Champions section right now. So there is a risk that if Hubert keeps struggling with the car, he might actually end up going a lap down to Tome and Cargo, the drivers he was fighting with for the lead earlier in this race. Has gone ahead and he is paid out of the 4th position. If 9 laps to go, I wonder if he would consider dumping onto the soft tire compounds and just running that to the end of the race. We're getting right in that little area with about 9 laps to go. Yep, that's exactly what he's doing. So now the question is going to be, he might not be able to contend for a win, but if he can get back into the top 10, he might be able to go for that bonus point for the fastest in-race lap here. Here's something. Williams has caught the Mercedes of XRL Snake, Williams, has caught XRL Snake, and a little bit behind them you have Electric Fritz at night, so we could have a little three-way battle here for 7th position to help form sooner rather than later. Jet definitely has the DRS enabled going now. The straights, he's definitely close enough as Snake touches the left side of that car to the grass, entering the hairpin, really trying to maximize the line through there, but it's not going to matter because here we are, DRS assisted overtake. In fact, he was actually faster than without DRS, so easily he's going to blow by Snake there. And now Snake might end up falling under threat from Electric Fritz. No, he's not. He's going to go ahead and pit. So Snake is going to go ahead and pit. He's been on his hards for only 9 laps, so not a whole lot of utilization on those tires. He's probably going to dump into the softs, and that is exactly what he's doing. He's throwing on the soft tire compounds, and he's back on the circuit. He is going to drop out of the top 10. He is being joined in the pit lane by XRL Patriot, who's doing the same thing, jumping onto soft tire compounds. Careless Jackson is starting to run down Scholl. There's only about 2.5 seconds between himself and Scholl. Scholl is on 20-lap-old hards. Careless Jackson on 6-lap-old mediums. So more than likely, I think this battle might go in the favor of Careless Jackson. So again, although Stumpy, 2 accidents taking him out of Q1 and the race respectively, Careless Jackson is definitely trying to perform for the McLaren team. He needs to probably go see a chiropractor after the race simply because he's going to be carrying really hard there. A little bit farther back, here's Retro, who has he's going to be fighting off Gusty behind him. Gusty gets by a lap car back to with a really bad day for the Red Bulls right now. Neither of them are in points main positions right now. But Gusty trying to make something happen with Retro. He's got DRS here off the start-finish line straight. Run down to turn 1. Nothing yet. You can actually hear the left rear squealing a little bit on Gusty's car as he's pushing really hard to get to Retro. This will be a battle for points main position. He is 11th, Retro is 10th. So Gusty desperately trying to convert what was a good start position into a decent race finish. Meanwhile, a little bit farther back, Hubert is now going to lose a position to Patriot. So Hubert struggles to this day, continues. He is now falling all the way down to 15th position. He is the last car on the lead lap at the moment, but Patriot now has a 3-second time penalty for multiple warnings. Again, I think the only guy who's not going to have a time penalty in this race is XRL Tome, who is currently in the pits, dumping onto the soft tire compounds. He's now exiting the pit lane. Cargo is on hards, 14-lap-old hards. If he stays out, he'll be on what will be 20-lap-old hards by the end of this race. Cargo may be in a position to win if he can stay out on those hard tire compounds at the end of the race. In fact, they may be the only thing he can afford to do, because I'm almost positive Cargo does have a time penalty. And if he goes ahead and pits, I don't think he's going to be able to come in, swap tires, and get out in just 17 seconds. Well, actually, less than that. It says 13 right now between Cargo and Tome. So yeah, right now, Cargo, he just needs to stay out there and maintain as much of the gap over Tome as he can if he wants to win this race. Big help for Cargo, though, is that he is sharing the racetrack with no one. There's no one ahead of him, no one behind him right now. and Hubert has gotten back by Patriot now. So about 14th and 15th position continues to go on. There's another one that's potentially forming between Electric Fritz and Constant Jet here. And then just ahead of them, Careless Jackson and Scholl, their little battle is definitely heating up as well. 22 lap old hard for Scholl. He's going to be on 27 lap old hards if he stays on these tire comments again. I think Scholl's going to have to come in and pit sooner rather than later and just try and hope that he doesn't lose too many positions so he can go for the... There was another Weenan plate. I wonder who that was from. But I wonder if Scholl...
I don't think he's going to go into the pits. It's too late to make a difference. To get the most out of those softs, you really need at least 5, 6, maybe 7 laps. But it is a very short pit lane. You're only looking at about 16, 17 seconds left compared to normally it could be 20 to 25.
Well, either way, I think this is really going to come in favor for Careless Jackson because he's only on 9 lap mediums. Scholl, they're on hard. They're meant to go longer, but 23 laps. I'm just going to say something else here. So I'm watching the leaderboard. Tome has gone into a completely different zip code when it comes to his lap times. He has cut down the gap between himself and Cargo to 11.3 seconds. He's basically almost every lap. He's trimming a second or more off. I don't know if he's going to be able to fight Cargo outright, but I could be wrong, but I'm like 95% sure Tome is one of only like maybe 2 drivers who have no time penalties. If he can just get within like 3 seconds of Cargo, he might be able to win the race off of that. Like, this race may not be over until we see Cargo and Tome both cross the line. Already, we're not even through half of this next lap, and he's already down to less than 10.5 seconds. Now 10, and he's cutting off the gap between himself and Cargo faster and faster as this is going on. I really, really fear for Cargo right now. Cargo really needs to find a way to pick up the pace. He's on pace to right now. He's already down to less than 10 seconds. He's at 9.7, 9.6 seconds. 9.5 now. He's gonna cut off a little more than 2 seconds left right now. And again, I'm almost positive Tome has no penalties against him. So all he needs to do is just keep this pace. And he can just be behind Cargo and probably win. He's down to 9 seconds. He's less than 9 seconds. He's right at 9 seconds behind Cargo right now. He's coming. He is coming fast.
Penalty, and Tome has 0 seconds of penalty, but he is 1-1 away from the penalty. So he's going to have to be very well behaved. And yeah, he only needs to get within 3 seconds.
He's already less than 8.5 seconds. He's cutting off anywhere from half a second to 3/4 of a second every sector. So this could definitely happen. I think Tome might end up winning this race. This is going to be impressive if he's able to do it, though.
It's been an impressive
Meanwhile, Constant Jet is once again trying to make something happen to Electric Fritz. Electric Fritz is really abusing track limits everywhere. He can dip tires into the grass anywhere he thinks he can make it a little bit faster mid-corner. And they both need to pick up the pace because Retro is behind them on softs. Now, granted, the softs are going to be a little bit more at the very end, but Retro is definitely on softs. He can run them down, make something happen. Careless Jackson is still behind Scholl, and Careless Jackson now also has a time penalty as well, so he needs to get around Scholl sooner rather than later. Scholl, credit to him, he's making those cars really put in work. 25 laps, we'll be at 7 laps at the end of the stint. It's absolutely impressive what he's going to try and do here. Fratters is jumping into the pits. I believe he's probably replacing damage on the car. Also, I want to give credit to everyone. Only 1 DNF this entire race. 19 drivers will make it to the end. Almost a complete inversion from what we saw last week at Baku, where only 10 drivers finished that race. This is looking to be a very, very, very engaging race here today. There's a yellow flag in Sector 1, but it's already gone away here. Meanwhile, the gap from first to second, Tome 6.2 seconds off from Cargo right now. 6.3 going into the hairpin. So, yeah, he just needs to take off about another 3 seconds in these final 2 laps, and he will have the win. I think he can do it. It's very much possible he can do it. He's dropped a little bit of time now, though, going through sector 3 this time. So he needs to take off about 3.5 seconds in these final 2 laps.
We've got a Renault sitting in a hairpin, completely stationary.
Fratters and Blake both made contact with each other in the hairpin. They're both on the way again. But Blake, there's damage to the front man of that car. It might be a better idea for him. He's not going to be able to do anything. He's 17th right now. Yeah, he's going to stay out another lap. Hopefully it doesn't end up totaling the car with that significant black downforce at the very front.
Tom's still got a bit of work to do. He's 5.2 seconds.
Shoulder and Electric Fritz are now in their battle, and Retro has got them on, so it's a 3-way battle for 6, 7th, and 8th position here. Meanwhile, the gap between first and second, 4.8 seconds. Tome needs to push hard. He needs to find another roughly 2 seconds in this last lap and a third. Right behind Scholl. Those worn tires on Scholl have gone away from him. Careless Jackson's gone by him. Electric Fritz has gone by him. Will Retro get by him as well? 1 lap to go. The gap from first and second is less than 2 seconds. When you factor in the penalties, is Tome going to be able to make something happen? Will Retro be able to make something happen to Scholl here? Right under Scholl. He looks to the inside and then locks up the brakes, not able to make something happen through turn 1. But he's faster. He's so much faster that he's planted his front wing underneath Scholl's rear wing. Blake, 5-second penalty for speed in the pit lane. The humiliation on the line for Blake seems to continue. What the? I just got kicked out.
Oh.
I just got kicked out of the finish. Please keep calling, because I just got kicked out.
I'll just send you a quick invite. Alright, so my intervals aren't working for the top of the leaderboard at the moment. But I'm on board with Tome, and he looks to be about 3 or 4 seconds behind Cargo. So he could be right on the edge. We'll know now as he comes across the line. He's 1.5 seconds behind. So he's within range now, so long as he's still got no penalties, which I don't think he does. Oh, it's the end. He's finished 1.5 seconds behind. So I've cocked up there, but anyway. Bucks brings it home for 3rd place. Atwee looking to make it 4th. Yes, Careless Jackson at the moment is in 5th, but he's right behind him. He's got Electric Fritz, he's got Retro Rixie, Schuld, Gusty, and Snake is just coming into the final stretch now. So, top 10, XRL Cargo, followed by Tome, Bucks, Atwee, Careless Jackson. Schuld manages to hold on for 6th place, Electric Fritz up into 7th. Retro Rixie fought back to 8th, couldn't get past Schuld and Fritz. Gusty in 9th and Snake in 10th.
Deep apologies to those of us who are watching. We were following the battle with Retro, Schuld, and Fritz back there, and then F1 2020 decided that I apparently wasn't signed in to the game and my account, which is bullcrap. But so I'm sorry we missed the finish there. But in the end, the 3-second time penalty was not enough, and we see Alfa Romeo goes into victory lane once more. But it was definitely tight there. There was definitely a run. He was raining him down at one point. Tome was raining down Cargo at one point at 2 seconds a lap at one point. He really pushed hard for there. Stumpy had a DNF apparently, so Stumpy must not have finished the race for whatever reason at the very end, post-race. That's what it's saying for me. And Turbo... What? Yeah, that's weird, because Stumpy, it says, is 11th, but Stumpy was dead last, because he didn't finish. I don't know. Even my post-race results are all messed up, so I can't tell you anything. I can't tell you how accurate it is outside the top 10, so... Yeah, sorry about that.
I can send it to you in just 2 seconds, mate.
Yeah. Sorry guys, weird issues here, but I do want to go ahead and talk to XRL Cargo here. I'm going to try and invite him into the party. And I want to do the same to Tome, because Tome also put on a flyer of laps there at the end. Both of them put down amazing runs. I do want to go ahead and get to talking with them here to the end. Also, credit to Books. He was able to round down to a third-place finish. Despite having a penalty as well, he was able to bring home third in that Mercedes. So very, very good job on his part. Basically ended up running the race on his own there close to the end. So nice, clean for the Mercedes. So Mercedes still having a little bit of strength left in them despite a complete driver change going into here at Montreal. Yep, so looks like that will be the conclusion of our race here at Montreal for X3. I will be in the broadcasting booth for the X2 race in about an hour's time. That will be on a different channel, and for some of you, I will try and reshare the channel's name when it comes to that event. But it will be the same basic setup. It will be full qualifying and then a 50% race length for our X2 drivers. So that will be a thing. But anyways, wrapping up the race results, Jono, what would you take away from this race now that we're at the other end of it looking back?
I think it proves just how close the field is for the rest of the season. With 7 new drivers that have come in, we've still got one more driver to join us next week as well in the Racing Point in place of Tome. But he's also super quick and super competitive, just as Tome is. So I think we're in for a treat next week and going forwards.
Alright. I'll say this, 3 things to take away going forward is that the number one thing, as you said, the drivers changing up have now brought the entire field significantly closer in pace. It's going to really change the nature of these X3 races going forward. Number 2, the lack of DNF chaos leading to personal issues, dropping you quickly to the back. We saw a lot of drivers who had decent cars with bad scenarios hitting them, knocking and kicking them out of the points. This was a race where, unless you were the top 2, you needed to avoid mistakes at all costs. Not because you were going to get knocked out of the race, but because you were going to get knocked out of the points playing scenarios. And then the third thing that I would really take away from this race, track limit violations. There were only about 2 drivers at the end of the race who didn't have some sort of track limit violation. And there were also some pit lane violations as well. So avoiding penalties was very, very big here. In every way. The race didn't even get really won until the last lap simply because of all those penalties. But yeah, thank you once again to Jono. I'm very, very glad to be able to be here. I really do enjoy broadcasting for the XRL League, especially the X3 guys. Always love the show the X3 guys put on here. And I do want to thank you for being willing to jump to the broadcaster booth with me to give my vocal cords a little bit of a rest from time to time.
Absolutely, I think I'll probably be here next week as well if that's all right with you.
I mean, I'm perfectly fine with that. I don't care if I'm broadcasting by myself or with other people, but I definitely like having other people just so I can stop, take a break, get some water from hit and miss, and still have some focus on the race going on.
Especially if you've got 2 races in a night. But you've done a great job, mate.
Yeah.
I love having you on board. Thank you very much.
Yep, thank you very much. But anyways, as I said, in about an hour's time or so, we'll be doing X2 races on the other Extreme Racing League channel. That will also have me, and I believe there will be another person broadcasting in that race as well. But anyways, once again, thank you everyone as we're beginning to wrap up our broadcast here at Circuit des Gilles, Villeneuve, Montreal.
Well done. Thanks, mate.
Yep.
I'll see you next week, mate. Have a good one tonight.
Yep.